Hello and welcome to another episode of JoJo's Big Frank and Beans, Central Virginia's sci-fi and pop culture comic book store chat. I'm one of your hosts, again, Big, and with me as always...
Frank, excellent job, by the way. And with me and Big,
Bean. And excellent job, by the way.
Yes, nailed it. What have you guys been up to lately? You been watching the Olympics at all?
Not one bit.
No.
Is that happening?
Unfortunately, I kind of have to watch the Olympics. It's on it where I work. So, yeah, I've seen quite a bit of it.
Yeah, I watched the swimming, but I really haven't watched too much of the rest of the stuff. But this year, it seems like there's more things happening and in the news. I mean, and I'm not talking about in the news like USA winning, 5 gold medals in one thing or whatever. There's been a lot of like drama in what's going on.
Yeah, I guess a lot of it's COVID related too.
Yeah.
Like them not letting people into the country and all that kind of nonsense.
Yeah, I felt bad. I heard that it was one of the swimmers that wanted their mom to come with them, and they wouldn't allow it. And I was like, man, that's kind of messed up.
Yeah, we talked about that last time, didn't we?
I think we did.
The girl who was blind and deaf.
Yeah, she needed her mom there for something. That was it. So
moral support.
No, sorry, you can't bring her.
Well, with her, it's a little more than moral support. I mean, she
needs real
help.
support.
Yes.
Don't run into the walls and stuff. So,
did y'all hear about Simone Biles?
Yeah.
Biles? Is that her last name?
Biles, yeah.
Yeah.
She had like a breakdown or something.
Yeah. I mean, she dropped out.
Somewhat. So this just today, I heard she's going to try to compete in the balance beam. I think that's on Wednesday.
It was a group event that she stopped. Like it was a group thing that they were doing, and she dropped out of that one.
Yeah. Well, they do individual things and the team.
Right.
And the only thing I'm aware of that she's going to do is this balance beam. And the explanation, like one of her teammates gave this morning, was that there aren't flips and twists and things. You just go on the balance beam, do your thing, and then you're done.
So I was looking online. People are bashing the crap out of her, calling her a quitter, a coward. And I'm like, come on, people. Like, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of... This isn't like, I don't know, winning a local sporting event, right? It's not... this is big time. Like, there's a lot of pressure.
I would argue that's even more reason to do it, though.
True.
Because it's big time. And not big time big.
Yeah.
So, now, I don't know. I don't really care much about Simone Biles. I don't know much of anything about her. I don't know much anything about gymnastics. But I do see this as significant. I think it's a significant change in culture.
For sure.
Because think about, like, when we were kids in the 80s, these athletes trained for the Olympics like it was their life. They went to the Olympics, and that was it. That was, that was the pinnacle of track and field, gymnastics, all of that.
To get on the Wheaties box.
To get on the Wheaties box. I mean, that was it. And even to this day, I don't know that there's much beyond the Olympics for some of these sports, It's not like people are tuning in on CBS to watch track and field or gymnastics or any of this.
No, I think the only time that happens
is during the Olympics.
Is the Olympics. And then they have, like, some other games that they do, too, but nobody ever hears about that shit.
Right. So for her to go to the Olympics, and train, do all of this training, and then not go out to even compete, I think that's huge. That's significant. That's not something that would have occurred, decades ago. But obviously it's happening now. And I think it's a difference in how the Olympics is viewed. Even, as far as viewership, the Olympic Games is way down in viewership. So, I don't know. That's why I think it's significant and that's worth talking about.
Right. When I was a kid, it's definitely a culture thing. Because when I was a kid and I was in sports, Like I could get my leg cut off. My dad would be like, "Spit on it, get back out there. Quit crying, get back out there."
And that's exactly my point. It's so when we were kids, we grew up like watching Rocky, right? Eye of the Tiger. You know, you get out there and you try. And the whole point of that movie, Rocky loses in the end, right? It's a draw at the end, and Apollo fucking wins. But we're all sitting there stoked because he went toe-to-toe with the champ. He gave it his best shot. He was out there doing what he does. And so what did he lose? It was the mental victory. And I think at this point with Simone Biles, she's afraid of something. I mean, there's just hands down, whether it's the abuse that she had, whether it's, you know, she went out there and saw the competition and saw that, all right, the U.S. is actually in second place, because that's what took place. She went out there and started competing. They all were screwing up, and they were in second place. And then she decided, well, now it's time for me to focus on my mental health. That's fine and good. How about you do that 2 weeks from now? All right? You trained your whole life. You went out there and got scared. And now it's time to run and hide. And it's not like the rest of us don't know what's going on, you know. Yeah, we can sit here and go, yeah, we're in support of her mental health. And I'm fine with that. You know, I'm all about her pursuing her mental health. 2 weeks from now.
You've trained your whole life for this. Get out there and do it.
Exactly. And I don't think the part that bothers me the most is anything to do with her or her mental health. It's she took a spot on the team. So now there's some other kid back here in the States.
My mental health is fine. Let me go.
Who would have loved to be over there.
Yeah, and they won't let somebody else take her spot.
Right.
Since she's not taking it, that's it. Done.
So she let down all the other athletes in her field that are in this country.
She let down America.
And she let down her. She let down her.
About all that.
She let down her teammates because her teammates were counting on her for the group event. So, you know, I don't have all that much sympathy for her.
Mental health's been a big thing. It hit real big right when COVID started. Like, I don't know what it was. Like, before in the past, you know, it was, I didn't hear too much. I mean, people were having problems and, you know, you're calling people. But right after COVID or right when COVID started, people were like, you know, you're working from home. You know, here's numbers to call. There's a lot of mental health issues, and it seems to just be snowballing.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I don't doubt that she has challenges and she has problems, but we all do. Yeah. And there's a lot of other gymnasts out there from all different countries who probably don't have it as good as someone from the United States. They all made it out there to compete. So I might be harsh, but I don't have any sympathy for her whatsoever.
Some of the other countries, they're probably like, if you don't get out there and win,
we shoot your family.
Yeah. I'm going to cut off all your toes.
Right.
Remember your little sister there you used to have? Not anymore. You had a silver. You get to keep your brother, but silver medal, no sister.
Oh, wow.
How old is that girl?
She's in her early 20s, and it's not her first rodeo either. I mean, she's been to the Olympics before.
Yep.
And that might be a difference, too. The fact that she's been there before and done it before, now she doesn't care as much. I don't know. But I just think, you know, you train for something all your life. You know, mental health can wait 2 more weeks, and we'll deal with that in 2 weeks.
I agree.
You guys should be not on the Team USA. Should be.
Well, no, I would argue Simone Biles should not be on Team USA.
Exactly.
She'd lose some fingers and toes if she wasn't.
She was from Yugoslavia. Yep.
Oh, man.
Did y'all hear about this stuff that's going on with COVID and the guy that's refusing to get the vaccine?
Yeah, I saw him on the Today Show. So
he's still alive.
at the time when I saw him on the Today Show, he was. So what I saw was it's a guy who has COVID. He had refused to get the vaccine, and he got COVID. So he's in the hospital. He's on a respirator, got all kinds of tubes tied to him and everything. And a reporter goes in to interview him. And that looked ridiculous to begin with, because the reporter's basically like in a beekeeper suit.
Yeah, hazmat.
Hazmat suit. And he's got a boom mic. And if you don't know what a boom mic is, it's a big microphone on a long pole. And typically it would be used in like movies and stuff, and they'd hold it up above the talent.
Yeah.
Well, what this reporter is doing is using it so he can stay, like 20 feet away from this guy and still interview him. So he's sneaking the mic in to ask him questions. He's interested to know why this guy didn't take the vaccine, and is still, even though he's on his deathbed, is just like, no, I'll never take a vaccine. And so the reporter's digging deeper and asking, well, why is that? And his answer just floored me. His reasoning for not getting the vaccine is because the government wants him to.
He
Like
probably thinks it's like microchipped or something. They're going to track me.
So he didn't exactly say it in these words, but his reasoning is, because you want me to do it, I will not do it. That's the dumbest damn thing I've ever heard in my life.
He was that little kid where your parents were like, don't touch the stove, it's too hot. And he was like, you told me not to.
Well, and that's exactly what I'm getting at is, yeah, I used to think that way. That was called 11. I mean, usually people get past that.
Yeah.
This guy, I think he was in his 30s, maybe his 40s. I don't get it.
Some people are, I guess, just dead set in their ways.
I mean, I can accept just about any reason, whatever your reason may be, except because you told me so.
It's all the government. It's the man trying to keep you down, keep him down.
And that's the whole reason they're coming out with these vaccine requirements now.
So I heard that like some government jobs are starting to do it.
Yes.
Healthcare or people in like hospitals. There was one more. But I don't.
Google's doing it. Facebook is doing it.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, I'm surprised. Because I would just think that, there's probably a lot of Google people that don't even go into the office. Well, they probably doesn't Google have like that room where everybody's supposed to be like kumbaya and hug and stuff, and they have like these floating chairs?
I have no idea.
They do have all kinds of weird stuff, but or at least they did before COVID. Who knows what they're doing now? They might have isolation chambers.
Maybe. I figured like Amazon and Google and them, I don't know if Amazon's doing it, but like my job, they're just like, hey, just work from home. I'm probably more productive at home anyway.
At my job, we have a 90% vaccination rate. So out of 105 employees, we might have 5 who haven't got the vaccine.
I wonder what their reasoning is.
The government wants them to.
It might be.
That's where I was leading.
I doubt there's one person in the government who gives a shit if that guy gets a vaccine.
Not at all.
Some doctor might be like, you should get it, but they're not going to directly say, hey, you get the vaccine. Nobody told him to do that.
Right.
Fucking moron.
So if somebody asked you if you've had the vaccine or not, doesn't that go up against your Fourth Amendment rights? Like, I don't think that you can ask somebody that, or I think that's against.
There are a lot of rules, what you can ask somebody and what you can't, because it is their personal information and their medical history. Like, I know when we were going through it at work and we wanted to know who was vaccinated and who wasn't, only the general manager knew. So the top guy knew who's vaccinated and who's not. Whether that's strict to the rules. Whether that's breaking the rules, I don't know.
They just pass a note around. Have you gotten the vaccine? Circle 1. Yes, no, maybe. There you go. Just let me know. This is discreet, nonchalant.
One of the things that gets me about this vaccine too is, if you go back, all right, let's go back to World War II. All right, that generation was just finding ways to help with World War II. I mean, if you couldn't go and fight on the front lines, then you were finding a way to work in a factory building tanks or whatever it may be, selling bonds. Everyone was helping out. Today, you can't get someone to take a vaccine for their own benefit because you told me to. I mean, how far have we fallen?
A lot of rumor, nothing solid here, but I hear that they might be bringing the mask mandate back. My mom was telling me that she went into Walmart and Sam's Club, and they were handing out masks as you walked in, and they weren't saying like you have to wear this, but they were like, here you go. And then I guess there was like a sign that says, if you've had the vaccine, you don't have to wear a mask or something to that effect. And they were taking that sign down. So
I think the new CDC guidelines is for you to wear a mask inside no matter what. Now, I don't think Virginia's adopted that, but individual businesses like you're talking about could certainly do that.
Walmart says on their recording that they play in between their crappy music that they also play that if you have the vaccine, you don't have to wear a mask. I didn't see it signed, but they definitely play that on their recording.
I wouldn't know because I haven't been in a store in forever. Other than the comic book store, I've got my priorities straight.
That's right.
So there's a lot going on with Kang the Conqueror.
Yeah, they're building
today.
him up as the new that's new big bad, as they say.
Yeah, I mean, we've had Thanos. We took him down, or we, like I'm an Avenger. I'm no superhero here.
Hey, you're part of the team. I mean, when someone roots for the Redskins, they're saying we.
True.
Your team can be the Avengers. I'll support that.
That's right.
The comic book cave is influencing me. So they got rid of the big bad Thanos, and then who was the guy? And I guess it's Marvel and DC, but I can't remember the guy's name. And
Steppenwolf?
Yeah, they got rid of him. So now, and they're just going to keep having bad guys to kill over and over again. But Kang is it. I mean, we learned in the end of Loki, and everybody had an idea that he was the next one.
So tell us some of the things that Kang has done here.
So he's
not a very good guy.
He is not a very good guy.
He's tried to murder the Avengers as infants. So
I like that one. I like that storyline. That's phenomenal. But I mean, sure, you don't want to kill infants, but that's a good storyline.
Yeah.
Terminator 2 saw that.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when I read that, it made me think of the Loki where the one Loki's Nexus event was that he killed Thor, and he did it as a child. And I was like, that maybe that's where he got this from. He was like, oh,
it's a good idea.
Kang did it. Why can't I?
They can't fight all that well when they're 12
Children?
inches long.
I'll just starve them to death. Put them in this little crib and let them sit there. That's all you have to do. I guess
why
he
do I
failed.
feel like you would be a good Kang the Conqueror?
I mean, he must have failed at doing it, so
Yes,
must have been more difficult than just watching them starve. They had tough parents, I guess. I mean, if he was going to get Thor as a kid, he'd have to go through Odin, so.
That'd be tough.
Yeah.
One-eyed Willy. I've been calling him One-eyed Willy ever since. Ever since the first time I saw him with that golden patch.
Now this second one that Kang
Ooh.
did, I don't think that's so bad. I think I might be a Kang supporter on this next one.
Destroyed Washington D.C.
That's right.
I bet.
Oh my, that's a great
I
idea.
bet the guy that refuses the vaccine was all on board with that one.
He probably was.
Until Kang wanted him to do it.
Yep. And then he was like, "Nope,
No, that's a dumb idea. Don't do that. So
nope. You said to do it." He raised Black Bolt's son to destroy Inhumans. I don't know much about that one.
So the Inhumans are another group, sort of like the X-Men, but more like gods. And the Black Bolt is one of the Inhumans. I don't much care for the Inhumans.
isn't there a show?
I think there
Or
was a
going
show.
to be. Oh, there was.
Yeah, I think it came and went,
Oh.
and it was just that bad.
Wow, that didn't last long.
Just recently, well, not recently. It's been within the last year, maybe two. I got the real feeling that Marvel was trying to replace the X-Men with the Inhumans. There was actually a book that was out that was X-Men versus the Inhumans, and at that time, they still didn't own the movie rights to the X-Men. And so the feeling I was getting was, they're trying to build up the Inhumans so they can do a movie and be done with the X-Men. The only reason I bought the book is for the X-Men. And so as soon as, that X-Men versus Inhuman series was done, I could care less about
you
Who
were
cares
Inhumans.
about the Inhumans?
Yeah.
Yeah. They're not going to make that work.
No.
Give it up, guys.
No.
Pay the money for the X-Men.
And make a good X-Men movie.
They were probably trying to tie the two together and then split off the Inhumans and see if they could make as much money,
Oh, yeah.
do another spin-off or whatever, and it failed.
To me, the Inhumans are just, I don't know, it's Marvel garbage.
Kang also eradicated Council of Kangs. He had a whole team.
So a multiverse.
He talks about that in the show, in the last episode.
I forgot about that part.
Yeah, so the multiverse of Kangs, and he goes and kills them all.
Man, that's ruthless.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
I thought that's the way Loki was going. That there was one Loki which was actually in the castle. I thought there was a Loki in the castle, and he was the one that was going to kill all the rest of the Lokis, but I was wrong. So he tried to kill all mutants. That's pretty messed up too.
That is. Now lots of people have tried to do that, but still not good.
Not good. And then he tried to kill Spider-Punk.
So that's a variant of Spider-Man.
Is that the one that looks like a pig?
No, this one has got like a spiked mohawk. I think it's literally like metal spikes that are a mohawk, and it's a dumb idea. In fact, we should have just left that off the list.
Well, maybe he should have killed him. Maybe he shouldn't have tried. Maybe he should have accomplished
Succeeded.
that one. Check.
In our multiverse, that's how it happens. That dude no longer exists. We won't talk about him ever again.
Actually, I didn't even know he existed until I saw it today. Or
It would be better if Kang broke those spikes off and shoved it we'll
up
just
his
leave it-
ass.
Yeah, we'll leave it right there.
Right up his spider hole.
Oh man. Well, with that, I think that's a good time to tie it into what time it is now.
What time is it?
It is
You know
big
what time it is. It's big time.
So the first one that we had on here is pretty huge. So Todd McFarlane Toys and DC Direct partnership. So Ben, you were talking about this. So DC Direct is did McFarlane Toys buy, or did they just incorporate into each other?
It's just a partnership. I don't think he actually bought anything. So I think it was earlier this year, maybe last year, DC announced that they were no longer going to do DC Direct, which was where they were making all of their statues and things, all their collectibles. And it wasn't too long after that McFarlane started making the DC multiverse action figures. And so he's been doing that for a while, and there's quite a few of them here in this room.
And his toys are so much better.
Oh, yeah. And what DC Direct was doing, they might have been doing some toys, but mostly it was the collectible statues, you know, the resin statues. Or at least that's what I was paying most attention to. And so now, just a few days ago, they announced that McFarlane is going to be partnering with DC Direct, and I believe he has the right to sell all of the stuff they already had in their catalog. And he's going to be moving forward making all of their new stuff. And so the thing I'm most excited about is the 4th, which is, what is that, Wednesday or Thursday? McFarlane's website opens. And it's, I forgot what the website is now.
McFarlane Toys something. It's a toys.
McFarlane Toys store, because
toys
the two S's.
Store. Yeah.
Don't forget the two S's.
Yeah. That's the only reason I remembered it.
So on the 4th, that first day, if you spend over $50 in the store, then you get a Spawn's Universe #1 with a special cover, and you can and he's randomly going to put some
signature.
Some signatures on some of them.
I thought he said one at the end of that video. In the beginning, he said that there were going to be a few, but then I thought he said there was going to be one that he signed.
Oh, wow.
But I'll have to rewatch it. But I thought he said one.
But if you spend $200, you're guaranteed a Spawn's Universe #1 with the special cover and the signature. I'm getting at least one of those. I might get 2 or 3.
You know, it's funny when you talked about, like, I guess the random selection of it, get like you spend the $50 or whatever. In my mind, it was like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and Ben had the golden ticket. Like, oh!
It would be cool to get a random one.
It would
not
be cool.
Just buy one, you know. Just to have one. I got this randomly out of however many.
I'm not a gambler. I'm getting one.
I was thinking about buying the $200 one and the $50 one, and just seeing if I got a random signature.
There you go.
So
it all depends on what he has up on the store too. I mean, he might not have anything up. You know, he might just have a few items. It might be hard to spend $200 at the store.
Or he might not have anything that's under like $300.
That might be that. Or it might be, you know, some of this stuff that I've been looking at for months thinking, okay, I might buy that, and now it's on. Mm-hmm. So we'll see how it is.
And that's on the 4th, you said?
Yep, on the 4th.
Today's the 2nd, I believe.
Yep, so it'll be Wednesday then. It's on the 4th.
Yep.
Nice. So Guardians of the Galaxy, they're putting out a holiday special. So I was like, they're just trying to pull you in just a little bit more. So you can watch the video on YouTube, because that's where I saw it.
Oh, it's already out.
Well, no, they talk about it. It's not out, but they talk about it. But in the video, they talk about how they're going to have like these Easter eggs and give you tidbits of what's to come. So it's like a kind of like a teaser, holiday special teaser type thing.
Mm-hmm.
When I first heard about it, I was thinking of like that elf yourself meme where you got a bunch of the Guardians of the Galaxy's heads, you know, and the body's like dancing, and they're in like candy cane striped clothes.
Wait a minute, back up. What is elf yourself?
You don't know what elf yourself is?
I do not know what elf yourself is.
I have no idea either.
You take a picture of yourself, or you take pictures of like you and all of your friends, and then
I have never taken a photo of myself elfing myself.
Up an elf, a couple other people taking pictures of it, but never myself.
Yeah, it's only interesting if you're elfing someone else.
Right.
Well, you can elf yourself and your friends at the same time.
Okay.
And So yeah, then they play some like Jingle Bells or whatever music, and it's like your face on an elf body, and it all dances around, and it comes out every. It's an app, so you can probably get it right now, but I only see it around Christmas time. So
All right.
Okay.
so go elf yourself.
Exactly.
I know y'all had to have heard about Scarlett Johansson suing
yeah.
Disney. I mean, it is on everywhere.
Yes.
Everywhere that I read, and I don't think there's any like hard facts. It's mostly like speculation, is what it seems. But
It's like a what if, like, because who knows? I mean, maybe the ticket sales would fail right after that. I don't know.
But I mean, it is legit. Like Disney's making comments, the lawyers are making comments, so that's definitely kind of in the works. Or I don't think there's any paperwork filed or anything.
Well, I don't know. I think she has filed a lawsuit.
Oh, did they? Did they actually file it?
I think so.
Oh.
I don't know that 100%, but I believe that's the case.
So others have come out of the woodworks. So the whole thing is that it's a breach of contract because Scarlett Johansson, I guess, didn't have it in her contract that it was going to come out on Disney Plus and in the movie theaters. So she's saying that she lost a ton of money because it came out on both. And Disney throws it out there and just says like she made $20 million, like right off the bat.
They said that.
Yeah, and that I guess she's not being very sensitive to the whole pandemic and COVID situation. And I mean, these are comments from Disney, but now Drax, the guy that plays Drax from Guardians of the Galaxy, he's coming out and was like, I need my own spin-off show like she got so I can turn around and sue Disney. And then Emma Stone, she did Cruella de Vil, and apparently there's speculation that they did the same thing. They released that in movie theaters and on Disney Plus, and apparently she might pursue suing Disney Plus as well.
See, I don't. It's not like me to come down on the side of a corporation. I would usually take an individual side over, big business. But it's a gamble.
Mm-hmm.
Like when she's negotiating that contract, she has the choice that. Well, I'm assuming I don't know, what actually occurred in their negotiation, but usually it's one of two things: either you get this big salary, or you get a portion of the profits. Now, just because the profits didn't go your way, doesn't mean you get to go back to the negotiating table. It is a gamble. Now in her mind, I'm sure she was going, well, this is a Marvel movie. It's a big action blockbuster. It's a no-brainer to go with the profits. But guess what? It didn't turn out that way. So you just suck it up and you make bank on the next one.
Yep. So apparently, what I was reading is this is her first and last, probably because she's pissed off Disney, individual movie all by herself. I mean, they called it out that this is going to be her last one. My thoughts behind it were that everybody knew it was coming out on Disney Plus and in the movie theaters. Like you can't look at any social media, you can't watch any TV. So you're saying that she knew it was going to happen. She knew it was both things were going to happen.
Well, I'm sure she negotiated her contract long before the movie was shot and long before COVID and long before they knew it was going to be out on both. So that I'm sure that's what she's upset about, but still, that's what she negotiated. And you just because it doesn't go your way doesn't mean you get to come back and renegotiate. It just doesn't work that way. So, no sympathy for her either.
How do you feel about it, Mikey? Would you want 20 million, or I think the article that I read said she could have gotten up to like 50 million if it did as well as some of the other Marvel movies?
I wasn't going to go pay for it. And she's number one on my abduction list. There's my thoughts.
See, I don't know. I just, it doesn't make any sense to me because even, right, she's an actress at the top of her game, right? Now, the one studio she's been working with the most, she just burned that bridge.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a studio that owns Marvel, owns Star Wars, owns all these big name things. She's never going to be in any of those movies ever again. To me, that is a stupid move.
Well, I mean, she's dead now, and normally in like the Marvel shows, you can die and you'll be back.
Yeah.
Like they bring a ton of people back along the way.
They brought her back. She died.
Exactly.
And they made a movie with her.
And she got her own show after she was dead.
Yeah.
So
So you're right. She burned a bridge where she could definitely come
She
back.
burned a huge bridge.
Yeah. Apparently, Kevin Feige is kind of said some comments as well. Now, there was nothing that I could find that actually came straight from his mouth. It's all like the
Of course not,
reports say.
because he's not nearly as dumb as she is. He might be, saying his opinion behind closed doors, but he's not going to come out and say Disney's wrong.
Yeah.
There's no way in hell he's going to say that because he likes his paycheck.
Apparently, Scarlett Johansson didn't like hers. So Free Guy is coming out August 13th. It has Ryan Reynolds in it. Of course, he's the main actor. And people have already previewed this. I guess they've already got it out for like reviewers and things like that. And apparently this is the best video game movie that's ever been released. And I don't
out of like all four of them?
know.
Okay.
Well,
Good job,
well, hold
guys.
on.
Let's examine that statement for a minute. Has there ever even been a video game movie that's even somewhat watchable?
The Wizard.
What is that?
The Wiz, the little kid that plays Nintendo and beats everybody.
Well, that's not really a video game movie. So I mean, a movie that's based on a video game.
Ready Player One, kinda.
Okay, I'll give you that one.
That's about all video games.
Well, I guess this isn't actually based on a video game either, so I'm thinking about it wrong. But video game movies typically are not very good, in my opinion.
Shoot, I think there was another one with Jack Black in it. I can't think of what it is.
Jumanji?
No, but that's not really. That's a
Not a-
board game.
Well, in the new movie,
It was a video game in
Oh.
the newer movies,
Yeah.
yeah.
Huh.
So, yeah, they changed it to a virtual game or something instead
Mhm.
of, a board game.
And I did enjoy those movies. Even though The Rock is in it, it was pretty funny.
He is.
Everybody likes The Rock now. It makes no fucking sense to me. It's like,
I have no problem with The Rock. He's just not an actor.
apparently he is.
No, he's in movies. That doesn't make him an actor.
And he makes a lot of money in those
He
movies.
sure does. More than I'll ever see. Still doesn't make him an actor.
He's a performer.
There you go.
So some of these critics that have seen it are calling it is a matchup between The Truman Show and Ready Player One. So it has, I guess, the comedy of The Truman Show, but the video game aspect of Ready Player One. And they are publicizing the crap out of it. I don't know if you guys have been on any social media, but I mean, they've been doing it for months. It's just in every feed. I've seen it on TV a few times, and I don't even have cable TV. We just have Hulu, and it's just popping up.
I think the first time I saw a trailer for this movie was over a year ago, maybe a year and a half
Definitely.
ago.
Yeah, they pushed it back because of the pandemic.
Yeah, and you know it's going to be good just with Ryan Reynolds in it. I mean, they don't even need a script. They could just put the man in front of a camera, and he's got the wit to just make it funny.
Yeah. So that's coming out August 13th. And then did y'all Ben has Superman, the son of Kal-El, which came out on July 27th. I think this is really interesting. I wanted to bring this up because it's basically kind of a remake of Superman, but obviously with his son, Jonathan. and we were kind of chatting about it, and I don't know if this is going to last or not, but if you take the original Superman, he was going through things. I think it was released in like 1938 or something like that.
I think it was 39.
39. And there were things going on then that Superman was having to deal with, and now they've got his son, and I think there's a lot they could do with it. Hopefully they do it right to keep this going and keep it strong. I mean, you could throw out, pandemics, you could throw out, just all the things that are happening, technology just taking over, AI. I doubt they had that in the original Superman because they didn't even know what AI was. I think they could kick it to a new level and hopefully keep this going.
And like if you read a modern Superman comic, even when it's, Clark Kent, it's set in modern times. He's dealing with modern times and stuff. But it does sound like they're reaching for something a little different with this. So this story is basically there's this this person who's he's on fire, right? That's his power. He's like on fire. He's burning places up, and there's soldiers that are attacking him, and it's making it worse, right? Because of his fear, and he doesn't know how to control his power. So Jonathan Kent recognizes through his super senses that this guy is actually just terrified. He's not in control of his powers, and so he goes into the flames because it's not going to hurt him. He doesn't attack the guy. He talks him down, and he makes all the soldiers stand down. He actually catches a missile in the air and breaks it in half and stuff, and then goes to help the guy. Now, so that's pretty different from a comic book. I mean, usually you do go in and you punch the guy in the face, and that's that. So the fact that he's going in to talk the guy down is
more of an emotional feel to it.
Makes him a vagina.
It's very modern. It is very modern to be talking him down. The thing is, this is a comic book. That's going to get boring real fucking quick.
Yeah, it is.
Not much action in that.
No, there's not. And they're trying to bill him as Superman. So after he talks the guy down and he resolves the whole situation, he goes and he needs to talk about it, right? So he goes and he has console with Robin, Damian Wayne. Now, this is the littlest kid in the DC universe. I mean, it's Bruce Wayne's son. Even for a Robin, he's little, all right? So they're trying to build him up as the Superman, and then they have him going and talking to a little kid. And it's just like, no, this is Superboy. If they wanted to, have him go and talk to a younger person, they could have done Nightwing and had it Dick Grayson.
Mm-hmm.
They have a whole list of superheroes to choose from, and they choose the littlest kid. And immediately it's just what they're trying to build as Superman is immediately shot down to Superboy.
Mm-hmm.
And while they're sitting there talking, they discuss things like, oh, there's so much bad things in the world, and they're talking about conceptual things like global warming and inequality, and these are the things that you should be fighting, Superman. Well, yeah, but that's boring as hell in a comic book.
It's going to be at a protest holding a sign.
Right. I mean, think about Superman. We can take this right back to Superman 4, the quest. What is it? Quest for Hope.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and he's trying to
Quest
get rid of all
peace.
Quest for whatever the hell it
That
was.
movie was great.
Superman 4, the
talking about?
shitty Superman movie.
That radioactive guy kicked ass.
Quest for Hope. Is that Star Wars?
The only place he kicked ass was in the barber shop with whoever gave him that mullet. I mean, yes, those are bigger problems, but it doesn't play well with this. The only way to make it play is to come up with a villain who is a metaphor for that, and then the comic hero goes and kicks the guy's ass.
Mm-hmm.
So they're missing something. They're missing the fact that a comic book even though nowadays little kids aren't the ones reading it, it's old middle-aged men like me, still we're reading it for a reason. It's a distraction to make you forget how much your life sucks, right? And you don't want to be bothered with pandemics and
Maybe that's what Simone Biles needs.
that maybe
This is a whole stack of comics. Read these, get on the balance beam.
But not that one.
it's an escape. A comic book is an escape, and you don't want to be thinking about all the nonsense, the bigger problems in a comic book. You just don't.
Yeah. Good point, Ben.
Well, thank you.
Very good
You
point.
get off my soapbox now.
And did you want to go over the Amazing Fantasy? Because you probably
Yeah.
read that one too.
Yeah, I did. I got that one too. So there's Amazing Fantasy. So that it's a 5-issue series. The first one just came out last week, and what it is, you have Captain America, Spider-Man, and Black Widow, and it goes through each one of them and shows them each having trouble. So Captain America was on a ship that gets devoured by something in the deep. I mean, it shows it's the mouth coming up and devouring the ship. Spider-Man gets hit by a pumpkin bomb from Green Goblin, and then Black Widow. Something happens to her
Sues
too.
Disney.
So she sues Disney, right? So each one of them, when they go through that, they wake up in this fantasy world that looks like right out of a Conan comic, and like the cover even looks like this Boris Vallejo art. And that's what drew me in. So at the end of the comic, they find out that they died. Each one of them died, and this is the afterlife that they're in now.
Oh wow.
So I think it's going to be interesting. We'll see how it all plays out. But I liked the first issue for one reason, because of the art. So when you're in the Captain America story, when he's in the first part of his story before his death, all of the artwork is very reminiscent of 1940s comics. Like there's even a soldier in there that looks just like Archie, right? And the eyes are just black dots. And then you go to the Spider-Man story, and the Spider-Man story is right out of the 70s, and the artwork looks like it's right out of the 70s.
That's cool.
And then the Black Widow story looks like it's right out of the 80s. And then when they get to the afterlife, it looks like it's right out of a Conan comic. So that really drew me in, and that's what I liked so much about it.
Nice. Maybe we should read that one. That one sounds pretty intriguing.
Mm-hmm.
Superman can just slide away. Fly away.
Up and get out of here.
So we were all going to start watching The Walking Dead for the season 11 release on August 22nd. And I'm not going to lie, I watched the first episode, and that's the only one. I mean, I've seen up to where Glenn dies, but I watched the first episode, and I thought I'd bring up a few points that I thought were kind of cool that I noticed that I didn't really remember. One,
I was just going to ask, is that how far you've gotten so far as...
Yep, just the first
Okay.
episode. I mean, I've seen up to Glenn, so I mean, I've seen a lot of it where Glenn dies, but I've only watched the first episode, and I realized that nobody uses the word provisions enough, like to eat food.
Huh.
We were talking about we're talking about skedaddle, and and I'm sitting there watching it, and they're like, "Yeah, make sure you get provisions," and I'm like, man. Like, that's a good word. I'm going to start, hey, you want to get some provisions? Yeah, man, let's go get some lunch. No, I'm going for my provisions.
So when the world ends, you'll already be like up with the lingo.
Exactly. Or I'll be in the military because I think that's what they refer it to.
Pretty sure you're too old to join the military. Putting that out there.
Oh yeah, way too old. Way too old.
How far did you get, Frankie?
I think I watched like episode 2, maybe.
Okay, so you're both in the first season.
Yeah. So in the very beginning, when he comes out, and he wakes up or whatever, and he's like walking around, and he's realizing what's going on. I'm sitting there, I was watching, and I was like, man, I'd probably do things differently. And I thought I would ask you guys how y'all would handle that situation. So he goes and finds guns, and he goes through the city, and then there's like a bunch of tanks. Would y'all do anything differently than Rick did?
I don't know.
Well,
I think it depends on how much you're understanding, and because he's learning about the world that's around him. It's not
I've seen the show, so yes, I would have done things differently. I can't answer that fairly.
Right.
Yes, of course I wouldn't have gotten that tank. It gets surrounded by zombies. Duh. I know that shit's gonna happen already.
I just thought
I think it's a fair portrayal of what someone would do as they're learning about the world that's around them at the moment. Do you not agree with that?
No. I mean, I'm not saying there's a right or wrong answer. I just think I'd be scared shitless. I don't know if I would be venturing out, and I'd probably do the best I can, but I'd probably go very small distance from, like, I'd find home base, and I'd go out and come, get provisions and come back and just like chill at home, and not really.
Well, he did go there. He went home.
He did?
Yeah.
He did, but
he went home and then nobody was there. So then he continued on his way to try to find his family.
He discovered there was no photo albums, that his wife had taken the photo albums, so he knew she was still alive.
And then he went into the city and saw those zombies. See, I don't think I would have gone into the big city. I think I would have just kind of tiptoed a little bit, like just kind of eased into it.
But you know what's there. Like, if you're discovering the world and you don't know what's in the city, then you might go into the city, especially since
you don't have any provisions. You gotta have provisions.
Definitely gotta have provisions.
And that's in the city. He was just going to find provisions. He looked in a tank for them.
After seeing several episodes, though, they did a great job of how Rick started, and then I guess kind of couple seasons in. Like when he first started, he was all clean cut. He wasn't, he got shot in the side. But although I've seen the episodes, I just haven't seen them recently. Man, he goes loco, and like he really portrays that crazy, cracked out, they did a really good job of kind of evolving his character. And it didn't hit me until I watched the first episode again.
Yeah.
First episode I saw ever was in season 3. So they're already badasses by season 3. And then after I started watching it from the beginning and he first meets Glenn, I'm like, who the fuck is that guy? That's not Glenn. This dude's a giant flaming vagina. That's not the Glenn I know from season 3. So I kind of liked it better that I started watching in season 3. And then I got to go back and see how they were and how in the hell they made it that far, being the way they were.
You used
they got lucky.
Used my in-law theory.
Yes.
Where they made me watch episode 2 of WandaVision. Oh, man.
Yep.
You could just catch up on episode 1 later. Like, who does that?
That's not a show you can do that on either.
No. I don't want to talk about it.
I got into, so I'm in season 2 right now of The Walking Dead, and the thing that really struck me is just how good it is. I mean, it's just exceptionally good. Like,
better enjoy it.
I know that's the thing. Like, where I'm watching now, it's all about character development.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about building these characters up, and it has very little to do with zombies. And that's one of the things I liked right off the bat. It wasn't a 1970s garbage horror movie. There was actual real characters, and even the minor characters, they even build those up. And so I think with this rewatch, what I'm most interested to see is where that changes. Because I know for a fact at some point it changes and the show just starts to suck. And I'm really interested to see where that change happens and why. So as soon as I notice it, I'm going to start looking at, all right, who are the writers? What changed here? Because something changed. I don't know what it is, but something definitely changed.
You'll find out when you get there.
I have no words for what the show is now.
Well, I haven't even I didn't even see Glenn die, so I stopped. I don't know when I stopped watching it, but it was a while ago.
I think that's the last season I saw, was when Glenn died. I think. Maybe the season after that, but I don't know. I stopped watching because it was ridiculous.
I want to say it was probably like season 5 or 6, and they're up to 11 now. So the majority of the show I haven't seen. And like I'm in season 2 right now. That is hands down one of the best things I've ever seen on television. Like the moment that Sophia walks out of the barn, that scene,
Mm-hmm.
that's the greatest thing I've ever seen on television. You have Herschel, who believes that the zombies are people and they're just sick and we're going to find a way to cure them. You have the rest of the group that believes they're zombies, they're creatures, and you need to kill them. And you can witness both sides seeing the other side when Sophia walks out of the barn. Herschel is seeing, these zombies that are getting shot 5 times in the chest, and they just keep coming. And he's in shock. He's on his knees, and he just can't believe it. And then Shane is being an asshole, just the way Shane is an asshole. And then Sophia walks out, and he's in shock. And it takes Rick, who's the leader, while all of these dumbasses are now sitting there with their thumbs up their ass, and he's got to go and take care of business because Shane's such a fuck up, and put a bullet in Sophia's head. That scene, hands down, is the best thing I've ever seen on television.
That says a lot because
you know how much television I watch.
Yeah. I mean, even for our screen club that we were gonna do, your list of movies. So we're doing the screen club, and it's kind of like a legacy watch where we pick movies that the other people haven't seen. And Ben had a list of movies that I hadn't seen like a mile long, and I'm like, oh my, nope, haven't seen that one, haven't seen that one, haven't seen that one, haven't seen that one.
Do you know how I composed that list? I went into my DVD collection and I just looked at them and went down the list and went, oh, I bet they haven't seen this one, and this one, and this one, and that's how I built that collection. So the movie that I chose is Moon. And you guys had not seen that before, is that correct?
That is correct.
I had not. And I haven't seen it this time.
Oh, you haven't watched it?
No, I haven't watched it. But I was hoping you could convince me
to watch it.
Yep.
Well, when I discuss it here, we're probably going to ruin it for you.
Good.
I'll say that.
Good.
So the reason I chose Moon as a movie that I like and I would recommend. So it's Sam Rockwell. He's up on the moon all by himself. The way the movie begins is with a corporate video or commercial, and it shows all the problems with Earth and with getting fossil fuels and energy. And what you come to realize is this company is selling it. It's a corporate video kind of thing, and they're they're basically harvesting energy up on the moon. And that's Sam Rockwell's job. He's up on the moon. He's got a wife and kid back on Earth, and his only focus is to complete his mission and then make it back to them.
And he's all by himself.
He's all by himself.
Yeah,
He's
true.
got a computer to talk to, and that's it. And then he can watch. He doesn't even have a direct line of communication back to the Earth because the communication satellite is down. So he can watch videos of his wife and kid, but that's about it.
Oh, man.
And so anyway, he starts seeing shit, and it's apparent that he's seeing shit, and he's starting to fall to pieces. And you're like, all right, this guy is going fucking crazy. Only he's not. And this is where it ruins the movie for you. So what it turns out to be is they've cloned this guy. And so he has an accident out on his little moon rover car that he should have died from. And so he's out in the wreck. Meanwhile, the computer wakes up a new clone because got to have someone to work, right? And so they start initiating the new guy. Well, the new guy discovers the old guy in the wreckage and brings him on back. So now there's two guys, and they're trying to figure out what's going on. At this point in the movie, you think it's probably clones, but you're still like, maybe he's just fucking crazy. You don't really know. And so that's the interesting part about the movie. And then
Keeps you guessing.
And Sam Rockwell literally carries this entire movie by himself. He's such a good actor and such an interesting, charismatic person that you can watch him all by himself, not talking to anybody, for 2 hours. I mean, to me, it's even more impressive than Tom Hanks in Castaway. Because in Castaway, at least in the beginning and in the end, you have a character build-up. And you see his relationship with Helen Hunt and with, the people at FedEx or UPS or whatever the hell it is.
Mm-hmm.
And you build his character first. Then you put him on the island, so you already care about him, right? This is right off the bat, he's alone on the moon. We don't know shit about him. And we think he's crazy. But he's such a good actor, you're still interested and still engaged, and he holds that movie. And that's very impressive to me.
I'm going to have to watch it. I was going to have to buy it. I couldn't find it anywhere for free. And I was like,
Don't you have the Fire Stick?
Yeah, but I'd still have to buy it.
Did you watch it, Frankie?
Yeah, I don't like Sam Rockwell. So.
Straight up.
And I figured the movie out from the very beginning, so it was not.
Well, why don't you like him?
Because I don't. I don't know. I just don't like him.
Did somebody tell you to like him?
No.
So
Nope.
what did
That's
you?
how my brain works.
So can you expand on it? What did you not like about it?
I just don't like Sam Rockwell. And I figured the movie out from the very beginning. As soon as I saw the machine that they were extracting whatever they were extracting, I knew he was a clone and he was never going home, and they told him he was getting ready to go home in 3 days, and that was never going to happen, and I just knew what was going on already from the beginning. So, and I don't like Sam Rockwell.
He's not one of my favorite actors, but I wouldn't say I don't like him. Maybe this movie will change my mind.
Good luck.
So
which one did you choose?
my selection was Willy's Wonderland. All right. Sounds so I know this is sci-fi, right?
Mhm.
And I think this is under the horror section.
It is.
But I think it should be under the comedy section.
I'll give you my 2 cents. I think it should be under the garbage section.
It's like a train wreck, though. I couldn't look away. I just wanted to continue to watch it. I mean, the best thing about the whole movie is his Camaro. His Camaro is pretty badass.
Camaro that was in one scene?
Yes.
I would agree that's probably the best thing about this movie.
No, it's in 2 scenes. It was in the beginning when he ran over the spikes, and then when they gave it back
The
to him,
burnout.
and he burned out to get out of there.
And that was freaking awesome. I feel like he did that movie just so he could take his Camaro and burn it down in a movie. And I think that's why I did it. And I think that's why I like that movie.
They were
'Cause
probably
he was like, fuck it, I'm going to do donuts in this badass Camaro. We're going to make a movie about it. Sort of.
they were probably like selling him on the whole concept of like Gone in 60 Seconds meets Chuck E. Cheese or whatever. And they were telling him about the Chuck E. Cheese part, and he was like, sorry, this doesn't sound like my cup of tea. And they were like, we'll let you do a burnout in the Camaro. Sold. But I don't have any lines throughout the whole thing.
That's what I liked about it. He does not speak once. He does not say a fucking word through the whole movie. And the guy's like, be sure to take breaks. And every time his alarm goes off, he just stops what he's doing, and he goes and plays that whacked out video game.
The pinball
Yeah.
machine.
And drinks his pop.
So I read some trivia about this movie on IMDb. So there's not very much out there. But one of the things that was on IMDb was Nicolas Cage improvised the dance at the pinball machine. I was like, no shit. You mean there wasn't someone who told him to fucking do that?
That wasn't choreographed?
You don't say.
Yeah, that's not a very good trivia.
All I can say is it's very apparent that we have very different taste in movies.
I laughed my ass off when he did that dance.
I would have never watched this movie ever.
I would have never watched it either. Ever. Because I've seen a couple of his later movies and they're fucking horrible.
Even my wife watched it. She hates horror movies. She thought it was hilarious.
It's not scary at all. It's
No,
not a
it's definitely
horror
not
movie
scary.
at all.
And-
But it's funny as fuck.
And it doesn't make any sense. Like, when he's killing these animatronic things, right? He's smashing their heads or whatever, and there's like oil and stuff spraying out like it's the
Blood.
guts or
Yeah.
whatever. I don't know what they thought the reaction was going to be, because it's not like it's blood. It's just making a mess. I don't know. I don't get it.
If I was him, I would have been a little more pissed off throughout the movie every time I killed one of those machines, because then that's more stuff that he has to clean up, and that's the reason he's in there. Then
He finally got it clean, and then he had to fight the weasel at the end. He had to fight Willy.
Well, I will say he is one hell of a janitor.
He is. He did a good job on that bathroom. He can come clean my bathroom anytime.
Dude, it was a complete wreck, and he just, with wiping it down, he like fixed everything.
I'm sure he had to drink those sodas or whatever to keep him awake all night long. That's probably why he was like, "Oh, this one's wearing off. Got to have another one."
Break time.
Mm-hmm.
I actually, in that trivia, I read that he was actually the producer of the movie. He was very protective of the script and wanted the movie made a certain way, and that's why he was involved.
Interesting.
So, I don't know.
Wonder what the secret was. Like, what? Why didn't he want anybody to know?
Yeah, the best line in the movie is when the girl says that he's not locked in there with them. They're locked in the Chuck E. Cheese or Willy's with him. It was like, oh, yeah. Best but worst line, okay?
Another interesting thing I read about it was originally it was called Wally's Wonderland, and that's what you actually wrote originally in the rundown.
Oh, did I?
You did.
That's
And
why I couldn't find it.
that's why I looked it up, because I couldn't find it either. And they changed it midway through production to Willy's Wonderland. Now, I would like to know the story behind that.
Is it the National Lampoon's Moose, Wally? Isn't he Wally?
Yeah, but he's a moose, not a weasel.
Yeah, but isn't it like Wally's Wonderland? Isn't that where they go, the amusement
Go to
park?
Wally's World.
Wally's World.
Yep.
Mhm.
So they
Yeah,
didn't.
I don't
They
know.
don't. Hey, I wouldn't want to mess with a National Lampoon movie. They were both comedies, so it worked.
Oh, well.
Very cheesy movie.
Yep.
Well, at least if we keep doing these things, we'll each watch movies that we would have never watched otherwise.
Mhm.
We get exposed to something new.
Very true. Very true.
No doubt.
What episode are we up to now on this thing?
Our show?
Yep.
This will be 21, I believe.
I just heard a guy talking on about video or about podcasts. He said most podcasts don't make it past 10. And then he said out of the ones that do make it, 90% of those don't make it to 20. So we made it.
That's true. Although we're not really a podcast. That's what we set out to do in the beginning, and now we're a YouTube show.
We've
Well, this
evolved.
guy's on YouTube, and
Oh.
he does a podcast, so.
So it still counts.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, I think that wraps it up for the evening. Thanks for coming out.
Adios.
We'll see you next time.